Hello everyone, and this is Tony from Laughing Griffin Crafting. A little bit different today, not doing something that is necessarily crafting, but I'm restoring this upper extremity bike ergometer and lower extremity bike ergometer. It's basically a bike for both the hands and the feet. I have patients of mine that could really benefit from this. So I picked this up at the garage sale, $5. It's got quite a lot of rust on it, as you can see here. It's adjustable a little bit for height and both for the upper and lower body. And first I'm just going to be disassembling everything by basically using a screwdriver and a pair of pliers or a wrench. And this was simple enough to get apart. Nothing was so overly rusted that it couldn't all just become disassembled. You're getting the rest of it apart. Getting the lower carriage off. And then here I'm disassembling the entire frame. My plan here is to get this all cleaned off, get a rust off of all the parts, and then spray paint it. I have a spray paint, nice blue spray paint that I'm going to be utilizing to get this all looking real good. And I'm going to put the pieces in my vise, and I'm going to be using a wire brush with attachment onto a power drill, as you can see here. And this does a pretty good job of getting rust off, but it tends to be, oh yes, always got to use proper safety equipment, in this case goggles and earmuffs. And a little bit out of the shot here, but basically using that to get the rust off. And I quickly find that this is not really the best tool for this, as this is kind of unwieldy and difficult to get into these parts. So I then change over to the other wire brush that I have, which is this one, a little bit easier to use. Now, of course, I do have other rust removing wire brushes on a Dremel, but this project seemed to be a bit bigger than that, although at times there were smaller parts that probably could have used the Dremel. And this type of wire brush does help with the smaller parts. Getting the handles too, they had, or rather the sides of the handles, they also had some rust on it, which I don't know was picked up quite well in the previous shots. But yep, just gonna get all the rust off, and depending on how hard you depress the drill, makes this move faster or slower. So slower, of course, is better for little smaller pieces that you have less control over. But as you can see, a lot less rust. And also going to do the hardware. And here I'm doing one of the nuts and bolts combination. Being careful to get the top part really shiny, because that's what's going to be sticking out. So here's what the two look like after I'm done. One's before, one's after. Also, the trick of using vinegar combined with tin foil to get all the other little small parts that I couldn't reach, that is also really, really good. And that got this really cleaned up nicely. What was not recorded was the process of me actually putting some penetrating oil into all of the different joints that were present that will be movable. So I just didn't record that because my camera actually gave out because it was too hot outside, and camera actually on the phone actually just turned off directly. So I had to actually take and put my phone inside so it would cool down a bit. Here I am now going to be putting tape around all the areas where I don't want the spray paint to land on. So this is all the shiny metal parts that I just got done redoing and getting all the rust off, and I'm just using painter's tape for that. And here I am spray painting, and that is an extra little handle that I've gotten on top of the spray paint to make it a little bit easier to handle. Comes out real nice. And of course, I'm doing this outside in a well-ventilated area because it's my backyard, but even so, I don't like the smell and any of those fumes, so that's why I'm wearing a bit of that mask right there, as well as wearing some goggles too. You never know when some of that stuff can get on you, spray back on you, and get in your eye, so do be sure to use any and all safety equipment. And gonna get the frame all done as well. And just getting the rest of the frame finished up, at least on this side. And then I'm gonna have to, of course, get the other sides. There's a lot of nooks and crannies in this because of this way that this is shaped. So that's why you can see me going underneath. And just making sure that all of the parts are covered and making sure that the reverse sides are also done. Just finishing up here, and after a while of drying time, here is the assembly. I didn't film that, but it's just putting those pieces back on, and everything's back together. Looks pretty good. The penetrating oil and loosening everything up and getting that rust off really does help. These can move around quite nicely. This is resistance actually works on it quite nicely. So I'm pretty proud of this. My patients should have a good time using this. Hope you all liked it. Be probably getting back to more crafting videos in the future. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and tune into the channel for more. Bye-bye. See you then.